Knight, Moon Knight, Moon Knight. You confusing trope of a series. You WandaVision wannabe. I kind of feel all of that way. And I'm not saying that necessarily in a bad way. Before I go any further into this Moon Knight episode 1 review, I do have to say this. Oscar Isaacs is one of the better actors of our time. This man single handedly was the only good thing in the the new Star Wars trilogy movies. I thought he had a really cool kind of way with Finn. Wish they would have explored more of those characters a little bit more. I thought he was amazing in Dune. Absolutely amazing. I know Timothy Chalamet catches people's attention. Everybody loves his character, but I thought Oscar Isaacs was great in Dune. Then we get to see him in Moon Knight. Moon Knight is just downright confusing. And I'll tell you the reason why I call it a WandaVision wannabe is because they throw a lot of things at you at once and very little explanation is given. The only thing that I think is different between WandaVision and Moon Knight is I feel like I watched episode 1 of WandaVision and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if I'm really interested in this series. I don't know if I care enough to go to episode 2. But because episode 2 was released at the exact same time, I gave it a shot. And by episode 2, I was more intrigued by, these little breadcrumbs that they left along the way. Because they didn't answer anything, but they kind of gave us maybe some suspicions about, what could really be happening. I feel like Moon Knight needed an episode 2 for us to see the first 2 episodes, get it out there, maybe give us a little bit of explanation. Because it's not that the breadcrumbs are bad in this. I feel like we don't get very many. Like I said, if we would just got WandaVision episode 1, people might have thought differently. They might not have carried on to episode 2 if it was a week they had to wait. But as far as Moon Knight is concerned, I feel like it just needed an episode 2. It feels overwhelming at times. Overwhelming, let me put it this way, overwhelming and underwhelming all at the same time. I feel like we've got like this Jason Bourne kind of like character. We've got a guy that knows a lot about Egyptian mythology, a lot about Egypt in general, not a lot of uh, reasons to why he knows this, not a lot of information that goes towards it, not even enough, like I said, breadcrumbs that make us kind of piece together how he knows these things. I kind of got a James Bond feel a little bit sometimes. But the problem was every time he went all James Bond, every single time he went all James Bond on us, we got a cutaway and we got to see the results, but not the action. And that was where I felt like episode 1 really failed in a lot of different ways. Was we had a lot of moments where we could have had some really cool action. We had, of course, the chase scene during, in what was it, the Alps? That would have been cool to get to see a little bit more. Who doesn't like car chases? Like that would have been awesome if we would have got to see him fight it out, maybe with his little split personality way, and see a little bit of that. But no, we didn't get to see that. We got cutaways. We've got the results from it, but results aren't the fun part. People don't want to see the dead bodies afterwards. They want to see the fight that led to the dead bodies. And so I feel like this show has a lot of potential, but not, when it comes to action, but they don't really show it in episode 1. Now, hopefully, episode 2 will be a lot better when it comes to this, but I'm telling you, Oscar Isaac. I have to go back to Oscar Isaac because while I thought the action was very subpar, I think some of maybe the dialogue is subpar in this. And I think the information that we are given is too much at one time and not enough breadcrumbs that make us curious enough. It just feels like a crazy man in a lot of different ways. It really truly does. It kind of has that feel about it. You know that's not going to be the case at the very end, but it feels kind of Joker esque. It feels like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in so many different ways. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's not real. And while that works in Joker, I don't know if it necessarily works so much in Moon Knight. But as far as what holds this episode one together, makes it not only watchable but somewhat enjoyment, is Oscar Isaacs. Oscar Isaacs can play multiple different roles and be great in every single one of them. He can, some of the better moments in this episode is when Oscar Isaacs is just talking to a statue or talking to himself or just being Oscar Isaacs. Like in a lot of ways, like he brings this Stephen Grant out so much. Like I feel like Stephen Grant, though, the only problem that I actually have with this character is I feel like we've seen it before, like a million times over. Of course, we get Peter Parker, the guy that no one cares about until, he gets these powers, and you see it in almost every kind of superhero story arc. They go from being nobodies that no one even remembers their name to actually turning in to like these heroes that everybody loves. Maybe it's a little overly played, but I feel like when it comes to Oscar Isaacs, he does his best to kind of hold this together, to kind of make the meek Stephen Grant interesting enough to get past the tropes that really hold it down, that whole premise down, and go beyond it. But it's just simply because he's just a great actor. He is a great actor that deserves all the credit in the world for this. So that's the protagonist. I will say that's Oscar Isaacs is one good thing that this episode has going for it. As far as Ethan Hawke, I think he plays Arthur Harrow or something along those lines, a cult leader that has a really kind of, I would say, a cool power and a cool tattoo if it looked better. Like it kind of looks like something that somebody doodled on his arm and then it just come to life. I'll tell you what it kind of actually reminds me of is that game Psychonauts 2, where you can like doodle this like character and he can like go through like little things that you can't go into. That's the way it kind of felt in a lot of different ways. It felt like maybe make a cooler looking tattoo that comes to life, like I don't know, a snake or something wrapping around something. Totally get. It's got to be, it's got to be what it is. It can't be a snake. But I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, could have had it. It could just look a lot better. It just looks like a doodle to me. As far as Ethan Hawke is concerned, he really, really goes deep into his inner Kevin Bacon on this one. I was almost I was almost awestruck to a certain extent. I'm like, that's Kevin Bacon. And then I was like, no, no, no. That's Ethan Hawke. That is Ethan Hawke. He looks like Kevin Bacon from the X-Men movie. Like, that is who this guy reminds me so much of. In his mannerisms, in his look, all of that looks just like Kevin Bacon out of that X-Men movie. And what is it? X-Men First Class, something along those lines. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm kind of iffy on the villain as of right now. I think like I said, I think the action scenes are really poor. I feel like some of the dialogue kind of is clunky, kind of is overused tropes at times. I think Oscar Isaac does this best when he's just Oscar Isaac, when he's just talking to himself in a lot of different ways. He's that good of an actor that he overcomes a lot of probably what dialogue would destroy when it comes to other actors or actresses. I feel like Feel like Moon Knight doesn't give us enough breadcrumbs to make us interested in all these crazy things that's going on. Maybe episode 2 will be a little different. I feel like Moon Knight would have been rewarded so well if it would have just had an episode 2 to go along with it all at the same time. It needs that. Just like WandaVision needed that. WandaVision would have never been a thing if you would have just had episode 1. Because people would be like, okay, that looks so different, so stupid. I don't really care about what's going on here. But because they gave us an episode 2 and they gave us a little bit of breadcrumbs to keep us interested, to keep going, that is what made that series. I feel like that will either make or break Moon Knight, is whether or not we're intrigued enough to make it to the next episode. Because I really feel like we need to get to a climax sooner than episode 6. I feel like starting in like episode 2, we need to see this. It needs to pick up a little bit more because it does kind of feel slow at times. But overall, I did enjoy it. I'm not. I was going to say someone enjoy it, but I actually enjoyed it. Like I wasn't like overly bored. I was just like, I've kind of seen this character before. I kind of feel like if Oscar Isaacs wasn't doing his best in this movie, I feel like I would have probably tuned out probably about 15-20 minutes into it. So I feel like, okay, great actor. Let's make a great hero out of this. We didn't get to see enough of Moon Knight. We didn't get to see enough of his split personality. That would have been really cool. Hopefully, we'll get to see that in episode 2. But if I had to rate this episode, I would either give it like a 5 or 6, simply because, like I said, action far below par, dialogue clunky, um, main protagonist interesting enough, even though very tropey in a lot of different ways. As far as the villain is concerned, ugh, I don't know about Ethan Hawke. Kind of middle of the road on him right now. Kind of middle of the road on his powers. There was some scenes I think that really did intrigue me. Like one of the last scenes we got to see was of Oscar Isaac actually fighting that like Anubis like character. That was kind of cool. Getting to see that. But I mean, we needed to see a little bit more even in that fight scene. They kind of cut away in that as well. So I'm like 5 or 6 out of 10. I will check out episode 2. I hope it gets better. I'm going to be doing episode reviews on this series all the way through, good or bad. I'm going to, simply because I've done it on every other Marvel series. Might as well do it on this one as well. But overall, slightly intrigued to a certain extent, simply because of the mythology standpoint and because Oscar Isaacs did such a great job, that I wonder if he can actually, I don't know, even go so far to carry this series overall. We'll have to see. I just hope it's not just him alone that carries it. I hope the storyline actually picks up. I hope that we get to see a little bit more uh, Born Identity, or a little less Born Identity and more mythology in a lot of different ways. I think it would be a lot better suited to go that way. But overall, 5 out of 6. Looking forward to episode 2. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you enjoy our content here on Rants, please like, subscribe, and leave that comment down below. And also check us out on Minds and Rumble as well. All right, guys. Y'all take care.